and thank you for joining us online on our various digital channels. The question we now have is, how can new design thinking advance circular economy and circular products? What happens when you bring designers together with material scientists, with advanced materials? Can we actually have new products? Can we have a new process of manufacturing them? Let's find out, because we have this amazing chair here. Does it look good? And I can tell you, it also feels good, because sometimes, you know, with these designer chairs, they look awesome, and then you sit down and you think like, no, that's not for me. But this one is a beautiful, practical, and really, really wonderful chair. So if you have questions, let me remind you, if you're watching us online, put them in now, and then we can take your questions after we talked about it. So, of course, I now want to bring in the designer of this beautiful Arfinio chair, Thomas Schnur, and, of course, the Covestro partner. Please welcome Joan, Miquel, Garcia, Martinez. But you could call him Homie, he told me. All right, you guys, come out of here. Come on out. So, I'll move the chair a little bit so everyone can still see it while we're talking about it.
Okay.
So, Thomas, tell us, you're the mastermind, the brains behind this chair. You're a designer. How did you get the idea? I mean, not creatively, you know, designing a chair, but in general, to do something new. Was the idea to create a circular product, or how did you start?
I think the mastermind of this product is really Acesso Dynamics and Covestro. I mean, it's the material itself that brings these new possibilities into reality. And I got asked by Joan, Miquel, and Hans-Ebert Stein, what would you do with this new material that we have bring to reality? And my answer was a chair that reflects every potential that the material has. For example, it is a lightweight material.
Sorry, we can also bring up this one, because this is just the top part. The base is actually quite heavy, but this is really lightweight.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be even more lightweight. It depends to the air that you bring into the chair. At the same time, you can have a form that is bringing construction and shape together. So before you always had to work with some very clear restrictions to make an injection molded chair, but here you can now work with volume and bring everything together that you need to make a good piece of furniture.
So, Homie, we just heard it's a new material. What kind of new material is it, and what's so new about it? I mean, Covestro has lots of materials.
Yeah, well, actually, what's super special about this material is that this is an aliphatic polyurethane, which is in reaction injection molded. And as many people does not really know what that means, that's an insider chemistry definition. So let's say that if you think of how reaction injection molding was working till today, you will be doing an ATM machine or a payment station by reaction injection molding something which is quite fast but not that resistant. And then you need to paint it to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
needs a coating.
Exactly. The coating you use is slow, so that everyone thought it won't be possible to do reaction injection molding. And what you see in here is that after more than 5 decades of the industry, including us, saying that it wasn't possible to reaction injection mold the protective layer, that's what you see here. That's the protective layer in one shot, making one piece, which is a single material.
So that's very durable, it's lightweight. What are the properties of this material?
Well, one of the things that it's a pity that you cannot experience is that the haptics are something really special. It's really pleasant to the touch. It feels warm, but not too warm. Then the durability is extremely high because the material is poreless. It has a really, really high impact resistance, abrasion resistance, chemical resistance. And what's even more important, if there's something happening to the material, you can just remove the damage by polishing gently
Oh.
either with a sandpaper or even with Scotch-Brite
Wow. That's
that
very
everyone has at home.
very convenient for furniture.
Absolutely. And if you get fed of the design and you want to change it, we can just take it back, mill it, reduce it to dust, and use this dust to produce another chair.
So how did you two come together? So Covestro developed this new material, and you thought, well, okay, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
And you found Thomas?
Well, it was actually Hans Eberhardstein, which is one of our colleagues, taking care of the design of the booth. We told him, you know, Hans, we have this material and we need someone who may understand what we're doing in order to bring it to life. And then Hans said, you know, I know someone who's been working with solid surface who understands that. I'm pretty sure he will understand you. And it took us a minute and a half to know that he was right.
But Thomas, I mean, you're a designer. You're not a chemist. You're not a scientist. How did this new material then influence your design thinking?
Yeah, I'm a craftsman originally. I'm a carpenter. I did a formation as a carpenter, and then I studied product design, industrial design later. And 12 years ago, I came together with Hans Eberhardstein, and he introduced me into plastics and working with plastics. And that's how I come to a really wide portfolio of materials and techniques that I'm able to understand. And even if it is a new material, it always has parts of existing technologies, materials, and so on. So it's a kind of new combination that I quickly understood. And then we had quite a long journey, or it was a short time journey, but it felt really long because it was a lot of research. What could we do with this material? And the material has so many potentials that we made one sketch after another, and finally decided, let's do a chair, because a chair is an object that everyone can recognize, everyone can sit on, test it, feel it, has an opinion about it. Everyone has a chair at home, so everyone will know what a chair is, and you can compare it to other materials and so on. And this may brings new ideas into life. And that's, for me, the Arfinio chair. It's a communicator of the material. That's why we called it Arfinio chair. We didn't call it the Thomas Schnur chair or the whatever chair. It is the Arfinio chair because the star of this material is Arfinio. And that is also how it is constructed. It has a basement that is more like a podest, like a podium for the material. And even this podium can be later done in Arfinio, but for now we choose this very raw material, this material that humanity is working with since 20,000 years, and contrasted it with this high technology material. So this piece of wood is done by one carpenter, and this piece of seating shell is made by maybe hundreds of people. If you go back to every single person that participated on this idea, on this process, and that's the wonder for me. Yeah.
So I completely understand the fascinating properties. I understand the cool design, but then again, you know, it's a chair made of plastics. Boo-hoo. How is it circular then? What's new about it? We're talking about circular products. Explain the circularity in this product.
Yeah, that's also why we used wood and plastic here, because wood in its pure form, this is not lacquered, it's not coated or anything, it's pure wood. You can put it into the forest and it will become biomaterial again. So this symbolizes the circularity of a bio-based material. And this is a material that is technically recyclable, so circular, because you can, as Joan Miquel already explained, you can shredder it, you can bring it into powder and can bring back into production. And so this chair symbolizes these two options that we somehow have, a technical circle and a bio circle. And that's also why we choose now for this chair the bio base to present Arfinio as the star of this new technology and the human race.
Wow, cool. So Humi, explain to me. I mean, this one now is a chair.
Yeah.
But it's 100% recyclable, so you can actually make another chair out of this when it's, I don't know, broken or no longer used.
Yeah.
How does it work, and what were the challenges involved in making this a circular product?
Okay, yeah, well, I would like to say that when we started the whole journey about the material, our partner, Arfinio Dynamics, which is not sit with us on stage because of language issues, but we shared immediately the same idea. You know, okay, that's fine. Do we want to see whatever we do disposed in the forest? And no, we don't. Okay, so how can we craft that? And then when we started the whole sustainability part, the first thing we did was, you know, lightweight is kind of an accident, because what we wanted to do was reducing as much as possible the amount of material we need in order to reduce the carbon footprint of the product. So that was the first step. You know, use less, and then that's a first benefit. Second benefit, let's prolong life for this chair.
Make it durable.
Exactly. And then the third one was, okay, and then we can't do any mix of materials. It has to be really mono-material so that we can really shred it and then bring it back into the production. And you mentioned a chair, but this can be a chair which after end of life becomes a shower tray.
And we have a sink, a bathroom sink right over there. If you guys want to take a look, it's a beautiful bathroom sink.
Yep.
Same material. It's wonderful for sinks in the bathroom. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
So it could be anything.
Yeah, it can be an ATM machine.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, this all sounds too good to be true almost. What were the challenges that you faced? I mean, I imagine you didn't just try it and succeeded on the first try.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's important to say, when I'm saying that for decades the industry believed that wasn't possible, it's not because they just thought about it and said, nah. I remember the first time I talked to some colleagues about what I found with Arfinio, and I said, you know, I met a guy who thinks he can take an aliphatic, put some fillers in, and reaction injection mold it, and everyone looked at me and said,
you're crazy.
You understood wrong. I'm pretty sure you didn't get that. And then it was like, okay, what if I can bring a plate? Kind of a minimum viable product. And it was like, well, if you bring a plate, I would still think it's not possible, because we tried several times. Everyone in the industry did, but we may allow you to kind of keep going. And I mean, on the way, there was people not believing that was possible. People not believing there would be a market for that. People not believing whatever. But there was a lot of people believing that we should try it. And that was super important. Then there was Arfinio Dynamics never surrendering, because we've done a lot on it. I mean, it's not just you take one machine off the shelf, one mold off the shelf, products off the shelf, and voila. It's just the rest of the people which didn't found a way. That was what we needed to do, the proof of concept. After that proof of concept, in order to really control what we do, we started working on improving the precision of the machines, improving the precision of the molds, tweaking a little bit more the formulation, playing here and there, that, to the point that one thing which is really remarkable is that in the reaction injection molding industry, you do something which has a side which is never seen. And also you plaster and paint the surface, so you can have defects. But this chair is visible almost 360 degrees.
So your injection has to be perfect.
Out of the mold like that.
Wow.
So reaching this point was a huge work, and I'm looking there because, yeah, there you are.
Oh, you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, we managed.
So is this still prototype level, or is this a serial product?
Well, actually, I mean, let's say it is both. This is a prototype level. because we're not selling it. But if someone would like to distribute the chair, we would be able to do it, because we discussed that before. When we had to make the decision, do we make a prototype mold cheaper only for a few units, or do we go for the a little bit more expensive full production mold? We decided that it made no sense to go for a prototype mold. Let's go for a full production. And then if someone wants to make some chairs, even if it's us, for our headquarters, let's do that.
It's right there in Covestro's values, courage and curiosity, find it out, and then go ahead and do it. So, and as I understood, this one is being produced in Barcelona right now, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So
yeah.
it's in Europe, and it's locally produced. How many of them are there yet? And
we produce around 20.
20, okay.
Yeah, there are 4 of them in our press conference room. Well, actually 3 of them. That's the 4th. There's
I'll take one
more there. Yeah, there's a huge list.
Okay, so waiting list, all right.
Yeah.
So are you then, I mean, do you have concrete plans to scale up production yet, or you still, waiting for people to talk to you and start collaborating?
I think to bring it onto market with a realistic point of view, we need as qualitative partners as Covestro is. So we need partners that are also thinking about a system that makes it possible to give it back. So a deposit system, that would be the best thing.
Yeah. I mean, he could go to Kickstarter.
So let me ask you, I mean, we talked about the design aspects, the sustainability aspects, it's a circular product, it's all great. And you did it, you succeeded. But let me introduce a but into the whole equation, because doesn't this cost more than just a regular product? Is a circular product always necessarily more expensive? And do we need the customers then to be willing to pay more for it?
Yeah, I would say this is a total misunderstanding that we have as a society, that everything we do sustainably is going to be more expensive. And I would say there are several things we need to take into account. One thing is when we talk about the cost of the product itself. Does not have to be cheap, more expensive than a similar product which is existing and non-circular. And it's not the case, not necessarily the case. And there's also the cost of not going into circular solutions, which is a cost that may be for future generations and not for ours. But we need to really think that circularity is the way. I don't think there's an alternative, like, let's stop research.
Let's stop science, yes.
Yeah. So, no, I would strongly disagree that a material like that one is out of a potential scope for any customer or consumer.
So your perspective is not, it's a nice to have product that, is optional, but we really have to go this way so that eventually all products are that way. Because in the past, I mean, let's be honest, we have the linear approach of make, take, and then dispose, or you can bury it in a landfill, you can, burn it. You're not considering the real costs of a product because you're just considering the manufacturing costs, and it was so cheap in the past, especially, with cheap fossil raw materials.
But that's here an interesting thing, because the wood you cannot bring back to the carpenter. He will say, okay, thank you, I will burn it. Because what he want to do with it, he cannot powder it and make something new out of it. Of course, you can make, with powder, you can make like MDF plates or other plates, but it doesn't have a big value, Like they would say, okay, thank you, and that's it. But here it's a really qualitative, high qualitative material that I think a producer that is producing it and producing a mono material seating shell would be kind of stupid to not take it back, because it is it has a value. It is a material that you can bring back into production.
So keep the material in the loop. And the base could also be Arfinio, right? I mean, it's not limited. You could do all kinds of shapes. You told me before, you could also do a high chair, like a stool. Or
we did the base for now in wood, because we wanted to test the shell first, because the basement wouldn't be a problem if the seat shell is working. And it's just it's just perfect. It really works, and it really works perfect. And we tested it now for some days here at the K-Fair, and yeah, everyone is really agreeing with us that it is a really great object.
Everyone loves it, yes.
Yeah.
So let me open it up to the audience. Do we have any questions from the audience, either to the designer, Thomas, or to Covestro, in terms of the collaboration, the solutions? And I see we have a question from LinkedIn, so thank you very much for sending in your questions through our online channels. The question is, does Covestro collaborate with big designers regarding Arfinio, the material, to design something like the Pantone chair?
Yeah, well, let's start by saying that this project, even internally at Covestro, was kind of unknown until 10 days ago.
Oh, really? Wow.
So we really worked that, as I used to say, under the radar. And the reason was it was hard enough to collaborate, to establish a collaboration between an 18,000 employees company and a 25 employee company. So it was easier if we were doing it the way we did it. And well, let's say that a Pantone chair or something with Philips Stark, of course I would love to do it. The point is that
the interesting thing is that the Pantone chair was a collaboration with former Covestro, but biomaterial science. So it is actually, it was this collaboration the person is asking, and now we are working together.
And let me say that,
of course, other designers.
That's what we're doing with Thomas. Thomas, his name may not be yet at the level of Starks or Pantone, but let's wait.
And also a Pantone chair or a Eames chair started like this. So I know voices from the design business that they say only after 40 years you will be able to make a chair with a big company, a plastic chair or a molded chair. And I'm 39.
You did it? All right. Yeah, congrats on that. So we talk a lot about solutions that become a reality because different partners come together. They don't necessarily have to be the same size, could be different industries, different perspectives. But is the secret really in getting different perspectives to come together to sort of inspire each other? Because a designer obviously thinks differently from either a product manufacturer or a materials manufacturer, right? I mean, did you learn from Thomas as well?
Absolutely. We've learned a lot about it, about the material, thanks to Thomas, and we've learned about the process of making something like that happening. If you would put the 30 smartest male engineers of the world in a room, they will never solve anything. So you need male, female, business, chemistry, design, all together if you really want to solve big problems.
Really a diverse crowd. I mean, that's what we have, the colors, that's what we have, the inclusive approach. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Anyone wants to ask anything? Yes. Do we have a microphone? Yes, there it is.
A very short question. And about the wall thickness of this material, it looks very light, very thin. It's possible with this material to build very thin constructions for this chair.
It's a construction material for building.
How thick?
How thick can you go?
Okay. Can you go with, for example, by this chair?
So did I understand well that you feel that this is thin or thick?
Very thin.
Very thin. Well, actually, there's a section.
Yeah, this is a wrong perspective.
Yeah, there's a section with more than 6 centimeters, which is massive, actually. And that was something we were discussing with Thomas. Also, from a technology perspective, we would not recommend to go that thick. That was a huge challenge. And something that you may not believe is that was made less than 10 days ago. We were really getting the molds and prototyping at light speed, and we weren't sure whether that thickness would work. It was a real challenge. Ernest was always telling me, I'm not sure we can injection mold that. But he never said it wouldn't be possible, and I always said, well, you tell me, your call. And he did it. I mean, that's the first one we produced, actually. We weren't expecting it to be kind of okay in the first shot, And when it came out of the mold, we were looking one at the other like, oh, wow. We did it. That was a moment of truth. I mean, we had a wash basin, we had a shower tray. There's other things we cannot talk yet, but which are there. But when we saw that, 360-degree, this thickness, it was like, okay, just bring it in.
All right. Any other questions? So let me ask you, what's next for you guys? I mean, you just did it, all right, so you don't have a mass production yet, you haven't scaled it yet, you don't have a distribution, but what's next? I mean, are you working on other objects, other form factors? What are the next steps?
Well, right now, our agenda together is that in 3 weeks we will be together in Milano in a fair for designers and architects. And we'll be talking about the material, we'll be talking about the chair. Well,
and next week at Orgatech we are at the exhibition Materials for Future by Sascha Peters, Dr. Sascha Peters, who is doing a collection of materials for the future. And we are presenting the chair there again. And we are currently working on a system for the Covestro booth, for tabletop system, also in Arfinio. That is now in development, and now we are bringing all experience that we made into that new design or the development of this. And just wanted to say that you can sit like this on the chair, and you can sit like that, and you can also sit like this. So just to complete it.
Yeah, it's actually very nice because this is one of my favorite positions. And, you know, we have them up there, so it's very comfortable. Yeah, to sit like that and talk, and then it's beautiful. So. You know, as a designer, when you are finished with the product, that isn't your mind, you know, running ahead towards the next thing. Oh, I'd like to do this with that material.
Of
so
course,
many new ideas.
Here, for example, you can also sit like this and go a bit like that. So it's no problem because it's round. And that also brought us to the idea to maybe have here a curved surface to maybe include that functionality. Or, I mean, from the beginning on, it was planned as a system so that you can bring the base here and then you have a really small packaging. Or you can make a larger base so that you have a bar stool. Or you can combine them, so at the airport, for example, that you have 4 seats in a row. So there's endless possibilities still with this one design, and I have not done only this design. I have many, and many other ideas are coming up always, because as more as I'm doing, as bigger the snowball becomes, and
there's endless possibilities. I mean, we haven't even talked about the fact that you can integrate electronics, or that you can backlit the material.
Cool.
So as it is a foam, let's say, with a really solid skin around, you may think of a bathtub, and thanks to the foam, it's insulating. So that means that the water's warm longer.
Wow.
And as you can backlit the material, you could have ambient light from underneath. So there's endless possibilities, and now imagination's the limit. And I mean, unfortunately, I'm not the right guy for that, but we have Thomas.
That sounds amazing. The disco top. I'm not going to tell my kids because then I want it. But yeah, that's wonderful. So it's interesting because I, recently talked to someone who founded a startup where they rent out office furniture to companies because companies don't want to actually buy them anymore. They just subscribe to it. So maybe that could also then help them close the loop, where we have not only the subscription to the furniture, but also the furniture itself is a circular product.
Yeah. It's not just a product. It's really a material that you have. It's like a material that you have, and that has a value and a price, and it is a mono material, so it's not glued together with something you don't. Yeah, it's a pure material, and it has always a value.
This is a material that is supposed to be for you, with you, for a period of time. And once you don't want it any longer, it has to return.
Yes. And that's where we close the loop.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming here. For me, that's you know, really amazing to see how just a new way of design thinking supported by new materials can then allow for really circular products to close the loop, because this wasn't possible before. Now we have this technology, we have the science, and then we have the creative minds, and if they join and come together, then we can do amazing things. So do amazing things in the future. All the best for your future endeavors and your journey. Thank you so much, Thomas and Rumi.
Thank you.
This is your applause.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And if you want to check out the chair, come to the stage and try it for yourself. Maybe we'll leave it here for a little bit.